What is going on, everybody? It has been a hot ass minute since my special guest and I talked 49er ball. It was probably late in the 2025 or 2024 season, somewhere around November. So it's been quite a long time. There's a lot of news that dropped today, Raj, before this stream even happened. I was going to just talk off season with you, but we got a ton of news, mostly special teams. So I figure, one, I'll ask you how you're doing, and then we can jump right into it.
Yeah, man. I'm doing well. I hope you're doing good. It's been a minute since we crashed out on a live stream together. So let's get to it. It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you too. I'm a residency hat, always alive and kicking with you, looking good as usual.
Yes,
I have never bought one of those. I don't know. A lot of them are snapbacks, so I tend to. My head's too big. You got a smaller head than me, so.
That's true.
So let's just get right into it. A lot of special teams news dropped today. The biggest one being that Mitch Wishnowsky, for all intents and purposes, looks like he is out as the punter, and Thomas Morstead is in. I would love to hear your perspective on this. You dropped the news along with a lot of people I respect. When it happened, I was kind of shocked of it because it didn't seem like something they really need to make a move on, but. Sure, the 49ers have their own reasons. So what did you think of the Thomas Morstead signing?
So I wasn't too shocked. When I first woke up, I was like, oh, wow, new punter. And then I started thinking about it, and I want to go over all this. So, yeah, the 49ers, they parted ways with him. He's done. Mitch Wishnowsky, he's gone unless Morstead is there for the offseason, OTAs, and then if Mitch comes back because he's healthy, maybe they'll say, okay, well, we're going to transition back to Mitch. But I think it's done because – that is the issue. Is Mitch Wishnowsky's had some knee issues. He's had some nagging back issues. He kind of was banged up the last year. So he had a concussion, I think, 1 year. He's went through some injuries. I'm not going to lie to you. He's had a lot of injuries. And I think that's what the 49ers were looking at and said, hey, we like you, Mitch. They've made him a fourth round pick. He was a fourth round punter selection, just like Jake Moody was a third round. They put a lot of stock into Jake Moody and Mitch Wishnowsky. Mitch was good for a bit. But you can tell his punts weren't sailing as much. Last year, special teams was abysmal. Now, whether it was Mitch or Jake or whatever the case, they have revamped the special teams unit. And it starts, with the special teams coordinator. You got Brant Boyer. He's here. He coached Morstead with the Jets. And this guy's a 17-year vet. Now, the long snapper they brought in, also a 15-year vet in the league with Houston, John Week. So, I know the Niners are trying to get younger, but some of those players, those special teams players, are going to be a little bit older because they're consistent. If you play special teams, you've been doing it for years and you're not making mistakes, I think that's what the Niners are looking at. Get guys that are consistent, no nonsense. And Brant Boyer, he's come in and laid the law. He says, all right, you're gone. You're gone. He cut Tabor Pepper. He cut fucking Mitch Wishnowsky. He didn't give a shit about anybody. He said, listen, this is my special teams unit. I'm going to make the guys that I like. He brought in, a tight end. He brought in a special teams linebacker. Today, Chaz Surratt, another special teams linebacker. This man is on a mission. He says, listen, your special teams was terrible last year. Brian Schneider, everybody was pounding the table. Get him out of there. And that's what he did. They got rid of Brian Schneider, and Kyle Shanahan, Robert Saleh said, here, fix the special teams. And they really have made an emphasis on special teams. In free agency, pretty much all their signings were special teams players. And today, that was the emphasis. Boom, here we go. We're not going to waste our time on a kicker that's got some nagging injuries. Yes, I love Mitch Wishnowsky. I think the fans were crying about losing a punter. But here's the thing, Aaron. We had 6 wins. If you're going to give me a new punter and he can get us in better field position and he's not hurt and we win more than 6 wins, then it's a W. I don't care who's on this team as long as you're winning games. So I was like, whatever. I'm not going to sit here and split hairs over a punter. If this guy can punt the ball, fine. That's fine. That is.
When they were last in the league, I think on defense and special teams are pretty damn close in both categories.
Yeah.
There's no way there's no way that there's not going to be a field of bodies just scattered everywhere of players that have jettisoned off this team and for them to bring in other people. It had to happen. It was that bad last year. So I have no issues with them revamping special teams. I hope to God that it is better than it's been, because it wasn't really better. It wasn't just bad last year. It had been bad for a while. last year was just like the culmination of everything. And so sorry to see Mitch go. I really, to be honest with you, I don't care.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's the punter. Like, yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Like, hey, I mean, I gave him a farewell post. Like, farewell, Mitch. He had some nice highlights as a punter, but here's the thing: you need to win games, and if getting rid of your special teams punter is going to help you win games, I'm all for it. Like, get it. Fourth round punter. Like, did he live up to the fourth round billing? I don't know, man. But I mean, he'll find a team. He's going to be a good punter wherever he goes. He just got to get healthy, and that was the issue last year. One of the issues. How many players were hurt last year? Kicker was banged up. Special teams was all banged up. Jake Moody was banged up. Christian McCaffrey was banged up. Like this is it. And now, if you look at this lineup, and then there was one. You have I was going to post a picture, but I think Coach Yak posted a picture. It was like three amigos. You got Tabor, you got Mitch Wishnowsky, and Jake Moody. And he says, Jake Moody, you're next. Like, it's literally Brett Boyer's coming in and cleaning out. He says, listen, I'm putting my own squad. And I like that because, okay, you're a new coordinator, you're a new coach. You're going to live and die by your decisions. And if they come in this season and they're better and their special teams unit is better, it's all because of the moves he made. And he's going to get the credit. And then maybe in a year or two, he can become, a higher paid coach or whatever. So this is really him saying, hey, I'm making the moves. And if we get a better special teams ranking this year, that's on me. That's not on Salah. It's not on Robert. It's not on Kyle. That's on me. And I like that. Give them. And if they fail, that's on him. So
Kyle is given autonomy to both defensive and special teams coaches
and Salah,
to do what they want.
They're making Kyle Shanahan check his ego because here you brought in Salah, you brought in Boyer, you brought in all these guys, right? And they're making move like the draft. It was defensive loaded, like the first few picks, right? That's a lot. Like Kyle Shanahan say, hey, look, man, whatever I've been doing has not helped. I'm bringing in these coaches. I'm going to let them fix the issues because defense was an issue last year. Run defense was abysmal. And I like it. Kyle said, hey, look, man, I know I got to worry about the offense. I'll fix it. Well, go fix all these other issues because I'm not going to fix everything. So I like it. And today they signed linebacker Chaz Surratt, another former Jet. And today I posted it under somebody's post. I was like, the San Francisco Jets, that's what they've become.
Yep. All they need to do is take their kicker and they'd be all set. There
you go.
I done a lot of off-season talk with Sterling Bennett of 49ers Access. And we talked about Jake Moody in one of our last live streams. And he says to me, Aaron, I really don't think Brent Boyer likes Jake Moody that much. I don't think there's any love lost or any real love between the two of them. So Moody, right now, it looks like a competition. Apparently, whatever this means, he's worked on his kicking where he's only going to take 2 steps instead of 3 before he kicks. Accuracy over power. Some mumbo jumbo about him working on stuff in the offseason. He doesn't seem to think that his confidence is shooken all that bad. So I personally would love to see him go. Moody, I don't have any confidence in him. We talked about, one of the things we talked about, me and Sterling, was like, how far does this Moody thing go into the season? If he loses you 2 games early on that you should win, is he getting the hook? Is he out the door? I hope they don't even get to that position and get rid of him before the season. But he looks like he's going to get a shot to compete for his job with the other kicker that we brought in. What the hell is his name?
Grant Joseph.
Yep.
Grant.
Yep. Something like that. Joseph Grant. Greg Joseph. Excuse me.
Yeah, Greg Joseph. Get the name right. He's our future kicker. So,
I got to get on that.
Jake Moody, listen. Everybody's sitting there saying, why was he not cut? Why did they cut Mitch over Jake? They picked the wrong kicker. Here's the thing. Jake Moody was a 3rd-round kicker, and it was a tale of 2 seasons last year. Like, he improved. That Super Bowl, he kicked that nasty long kick that was it was a record for a minute until it got broken pretty quick. But Jake Moody improved the second year. Let's be honest, right? 13 out of 14. Like, he was cooking, and then he got injured, and then he came back, and then mentally he was like shattered. And that's the thing with Jake. Very mentally fragile, and he had a lot of pressure coming into the league. We've talked about it before, but I think because this is a sensitive subject, Kyle doesn't want to take the L on this. So again, he will take a lot of heat if they get this pick around. Like, everybody wants him cut, but they're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I think Brandt's like, hey, look, he probably was ready to get rid of him initially, but Kyle said, hey, we're going to bring in a veteran kicker because they know he's a third-round kicker. And there's a lot of pressure. They want to give him that benefit of doubt and say, hey, look, go compete. If he can't beat this geek off the street, this veteran guy that they brought in, the journeyman kicker, he doesn't deserve to be the starting kicker. So they're giving him one more chance. Now, Vic Tarfer, we talked about it yesterday, me and Larry, that he's kind of changed his way. He's like, instead of a 3-step, right, kick, he's taking one away. So he's changing his approach. And they're saying that makes your accuracy a little bit better, the way he approaches the kick, whatever. Him and his kicking coach have tweaked it a little bit. And, he's not going to kick as far, maybe like a yard or so off, but he might be a little bit more accurate. That was the issue. He was so inaccurate last year, and he's got the leg. Like, we know he can kick, just needs to be accurate. So if that's what it takes to fix it, great. More power to it. If you can go out there, nail your kicks, that's what we want. But I feel like Niner fans have soured on him because mentally he's just not there. So I think this competition is the last chance. Because Brandt, of course, he's come in, he's changed house, he's, swinging a big, around the house, and he's like, look, man, I'm coming in and making changes, but I'm going to give you one last chance because, again, it's Kyle's guy, and you don't want to ruffle the feathers of Kyle because I think Kyle really liked this guy when they drafted. I remember the video. He said, hey, we drafted you instead of a running back. Make me proud. So I think that really does resonate with Jake Moody, and it's like, hey, we're going to give you one more chance. If you can't beat this guy in training camp, hit the bricks, young man. So I think that's why they're keeping him. They're giving him one more chance. Because Kyle likes him. I don't think he's going to win the job, though. He's out of
there. I think differently only because, like you say, they try to save face. And saving face would mean, like, the other guy did okay in preseason, but we're going to keep Jake. And I feel like, unfortunately, for a lot of people I talk to, they're going to go that route. I want you to be right, though. I would love to see him go bye-bye and have a whole new special teams, unit. I mean, because the guy that they signed today, the linebacker that you were talking about, more of a special teams guy.
Yeah.
And a lot of the picks that they made in free agency, other than maybe like Pinnock, the safety, a lot of those were free. A lot of those are special teams as well too. So, yeah. I just like the fact that Kyle is like, okay, we were so bad last year that I'm going to hire 2 guys, and I'm going to give them free reign to do what they want when it comes to bolstering whatever side of the ball it is that they're in control of. So yeah. I'm okay with that. Man. Last year was so bad. I'm like, this has been a really long offseason because if we think about it, the offseason kind of came after the Buffalo game. The season was done, right?
Yeah, it's been a long offseason. We've had a lot more time to rest. Kyle looks a lot better. He looks like a lot more energy. Like, he has a lot more energy because you're right. They've had a lot more time to recover. Last year, Super Bowl, okay, they lost. They were pissed off at that. They were Super Bowl hangover. And then literally 2 weeks later they had the combine and then free agency starting, and it was boom, here comes minicamp. Like, they were not ready. And then the dark cloud held over them with BA and all the drama. This year, there's no drama. They got all the contract. I haven't talked to you about this. How do you feel about all the contracts are taken care of? There's no drama.
No drama, brother.
Cap space. They got my boy Brock signed.
The icing of the icing of the icing on the cake would be if they, in the middle of the season, extended Jawan Jennings.
Oh yeah, that could be the move. Honestly though, if I'm Jawan, I want to prove myself. I want to go out there, earn a bigger, because wide receiver market's crazy. If he goes out there, has 1,000-yard receiving season, I think he might price himself out of the Niners. Which I want him to stay, but if I'm Jawan Jennings, I'm gonna go out there and have the season of my life and go get paid Christian Kirk money. Like, somebody might throw $20 million at him, which he does. If he does that this year, deserves it, bro.
He's not a real fast guy, but he's a really, really dependable guy.
Yeah. And
we always forget about him. At least I do. Like, we forget about Jawan Jennings because there's nothing sexy about his game. He just gets it done. I would not like to see him go anywhere. I would love for him to be a 49er for a long time. But we know how things work. We know how the salary structure on this team had to change after last year. They needed to make room for all the deals that they made and for future, anything in the future. So, man, to get all that stuff done, and know we're totally changing the subject was great. I'm just hoping it translates during the season. You know, we got a while to go. We got the summer to relax. It's still not time to go to training camp yet. OTAs are alive and kicking though, which is something. And then I think the mandatories kick off in June as well. Before that, we say sayonara. So the next, the next week or two, the Niners are kind of in the facility, and then they're out till late July. So
after like that first week and a half of June, they got a whole month and a half off, and it's beautiful because I get a month and a half off basically.
Right,
bro. Like last year, I didn't post from like the end of like June when training camp was done until like the week of that when training camp started. It was nice, man. It's not gonna lie, because I'm a busy guy. I work this, I do that. I post like literally like today. I was in a groove, man. It was like I think I posted like 15 different things on Instagram. It's crazy. All this stuff I'm posting. That's a lot of work on top of everything I do. So it's kind of nice.
You are the man of 1,000 hats.
It's crazy.
You had your 9 to 5, and then you got your.
I know I post a lot. There's people that post more than me. Like I get Coach Yak on Twitter, bro. Every second I look on my phone, he's posting. I'm like, I can't even keep up with him. But during the weekend, I'm not gonna lie, it's like dead season when the off season. Like there's stuff I could see. I post. I was like this weekend, I didn't even go on my phone. It was so nice not to even post. So sometimes you need that break. But once the season goes, we're cooking. We ready to roll. So it's nice.
Yeah, I've enjoyed not having to worry too much about the off season, and it's been nice that it's been a lot longer. It sucks that your team can't win the Super Bowl, and then they had the season that they had last year. But so far, so good in the off season. If you had to give the Niners an off season grade, I would probably give them an A+.
An A+. I give him a B. I give him a B.
I was at a B, but when you see what they're doing with special teams, even now, this late into the off season, my grade has kind of went up because I'm like, okay, I'm starting to like this Brent Boyer guy a little bit more. I was kind of down on him when he said that he's got faith in Moody, and I'm like, here we go, another stooge for the organization who's going to say that they have faith in him. But all the moves around Moody show me that is whatever he says and whatever he thinks are two different things. Yeah. So, like you said, you hope that Moody's gone and that he loses the job, and so do I. Personally, he has to really fall on his face.
He's got to really, he's got to mess up bad to lose this job. But I that's what I'm saying. If you can't win this competition, you don't deserve to be the kicker. And that's it. And I like that they're going to push him, because if you're going to keep a guy, make him work. Like it's like the quarterback, right? A couple years back, you go get a good quarterback to push, your starter, because you might not think he's ready. That's what people do. They're doing it with the kicker. It's the same type of thing as the quarterback, right? Kicker competition, quarterback competition. Obviously, it's not the same level of play, kicker versus a quarterback. Quarterback, you got to be the man, the captain. But to be a kicker, you got to be good at what you do, right? You got to make sure you make your kicks. That is it. Make your kicks. Nobody cares if you have swag, if you do this, if you can kick it 90. If you can't make it down the middle, nobody cares. And I think, again, Kyle.
It's like really quarterbacks in the offseason that throw the ball, and everyone's like, wow, look at Will Levis. What's the problem with Will Levis? I can tell you what the problem is. Physically, he's fine. Mentally, not like the mental part of the game in football. People are always so about, oh, look at this quarterback. He can throw it so far, and he's so athletic, and he's big. But yet in the pressure time of the game, pressure situations, they melt.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, even in 2025, with all the evidence we've gotten with the Tom Brady's of the world, the Joe Montanas of the world, all these quarterbacks, what's his name? Kurt Warner, all these guys that everybody overlooked. And yet we still get ooh and on by all the stuff that's so not important. Moody being the guy. He could kick through a wall. He can kick really far. But if the noggin isn't right, then who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. So
you have to have it between the ears. You got to have the mental. And kicker is such a position where a lot of it is mental. Like, you can have the nicest leg in the you can kick it 60 yards. You can do all that stuff. But if you can't focus, you're going to be cooked. And it's like, I feel like with Moody last year, the lights were just too bright, and there's just a lot of pressure. And then, social media is going to be down your throat. Like, oh, you suck. Get out of here. Moody's booty. We probably see it in the chat tonight. Like, Kyle likes Jake. I think he's a nice guy. I'm not going to sit here and say he's not, because I think that's why the Niners like he's probably a very good person. They probably respect the hell out of him. They're like, damn, we really like this guy. We're going to give him that opportunity. But here comes Brant Boyer. He's making a change. He's ready to change everything. But he respects Kyle. He's, I'm going to give you your chance. We got this veteran. Go beat him. If you can't beat him, that's my kicker. And he's done it with pretty much every position. He has revamped the special teams. I mean, today, like, that's why I wasn't surprised when they got a new punter. Like, if Tabor Pepper, that was the first big move. That was the first domino on special teams. It was like, they got rid of this guy. And everybody thought he was, you're going to stay here, right? Debo choked them out. Oh, my God. Justice for the long snapper. They wasted no time. Get out of here, bro. Get out of here.
They're both gone, though. Bye, Debo. Bye. Bye. They're all gone.
This team is going to look a lot different because it's going to be a young team, a lot of rookies, a lot of second-year players. Pretty much revamped it.
A lot of hungry young guys who don't know nothing from Adam when it comes to football. Like one of the things that when we were doing schedule mock-ups, we're trying to figure out the record this year. The Niners have a lot of youth, which means that they're healthier. They haven't been through as much, but the inexperience is there too. And as excited as I am for certain guys that we drafted on defense, I think inexperience will show during the season at certain points. So there's that realistic expectation, but there's also that excitement that you have when you bring in guys. So I wanted to talk about Ayuk starting the season on the PUP list. It looks like pretty much what we expected, right? They're not rushing him back. No. But I wanted to talk about his receiver coach causing a lot of 49er fans, including myself, to go ham on X with his opinion of Brock Purdy, and saying that Brock Purdy, until he wins a Super Bowl, doesn't deserve to get paid. And I wanted to play the clip, and then I wanted to get your opinion, because I think it's a really dumb take. Yeah. Because if that's the case, there's so many other people in the NFL that applies to. I just feel like Brock has this. Brock Purdy gets so much unfair hate for absolutely no reason, and I don't know what it is. So let me play the clip.
It's such a bozo take, dude. We talked about this last night on my show with Larry. Like, these media people, they need to stay relevant. And of course, the 49ers, they're going to use the Niners so much, especially they always have big breaking headline news. Brock Purdy, he's a polarizing topic, right? Everybody loves to throw dirt on Purdy and say, oh, my God, he's overrated. They use the 7th-round pick, the last pick in the draft. They use that story ad nauseum. Like, this man was not that great a receiver. If Chad Ochocinco was not on the same team as him, he wouldn't have half the stats he has. He had 1 Pro Bowl season, played 2 playoff games. You want to talk about overrated, overpaid? Chad Ochos or TJ Houshmandzadeh should look in the mirror. And with his little take there, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow himself hasn't won a Super Bowl. None of those quarterbacks have won a Super Bowl. So don't sit there and say, oh, they're overrated or overpaid. And then how does he get to this arbitrary number of $47 million? He doesn't understand the market value of a quarterback, obviously. And he's just throwing stuff out there to say it. That's why nobody watches Speak or Fox Sports or whatever their network is, because they're terrible. Like, that right there is probably the most we've talked about them on a show in a long time. So kudos to him. He got his clicks.
Production meetings on shows? Do they have production meetings? Do they talk about stuff behind the scenes? Does somebody check this guy and go, what are you talking about? Like, you can't use that logic of, like, he hasn't won a Super Bowl, so therefore he's underpaid. That means the whole league is overpaid then, right? You get paid what you're worth. You get paid what the market is. That's how it works. Quarterbacks get paid. Even the worst ones get paid. What I don't understand, man, to give a microphone to so many unqualified idiots on television.
Seriously,
if that's the case, I could take my sorry ass and go on television, and I can make takes, and I can make $2 million a year. I mean, it doesn't seem like you need to have any type of college education or any type of higher learning. You just go on there, say dumb stuff. And what's funny, like you said, he was a 7th-round pick. What did TJ Houshmandzadeh do in the NFL that was noteworthy?
I know, right? He was decent for Bengals, but again, he had Chad Ochocinco as his running mate, and it made him get single coverage all day. So, of course, you're going to look good. And, again, 1 Pro Bowl. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say I could do better, because again, a lot of these players, they retire and then they become analysts, or I'm going to use that word loosely, or podcasters and stuff. And that's what it is. They go and play. So they think they're an expert in the league. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but come on, that's a brain dead take to sit there and say, oh, I didn't win a Super Bowl. You know how many quarterbacks have won a Super Bowl in this league? Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl. He's one of the best quarterbacks.
Jim Kelly never won a Super Bowl. Warren Moon never won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's a brain dead.
There was a lot of good quarterbacks that played when Joe Montana played. They're all in the Hall of Fame. They don't deserve to be there because they didn't win a Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is kind of like the top of the mountaintop, and it's difficult to do. I think Purdy got paid exactly what he does. Oh, go ahead.
He got paid what he did. Real quick, do you know who did win a Super Bowl? Brad Johnson has won a Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer. Like, there's some quarterbacks that won despite they weren't elite. They were good enough to lead a team. They're good game managers, but they had a great team around them. Sometimes it's not just about the quarterback. I think nowadays, the way modern sports is, everybody thinks the quarterback is like the creme de la creme. And I think the way the game has evolved with the passing and stuff, of course, you need a big, elite, deep, great arm quarterback, and that's what they look at. But there's been Super Bowl champions that have had terrible quarterbacks. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, there's been some really bad quarterbacks or average or mediocre quarterbacks, right, that have won Super Bowls. And there's some examples there. And I'm sitting there looking at this man. And he's like, Brock Purdy's overrated until he wins a Super Bowl. That means over half the league is probably overrated in his case. So it's just a bad take. But these teams, these players, they don't really understand the game. I think you're right. They don't have someone that has a production. They need to have a production meeting and say, hey, look, this is what the Niners are doing. This is their defense. Because then he says their defense was good or whatnot and saved them. Defense was horrible last year. And then he rattled out all the players that were missing. Well, Trent Williams wasn't there. Well, CMC. Don't you think that impacted Brock Purdy last year? Like, those guys are supposed to be there. If Joe Burrow didn't have Jamar Chase, he's probably not putting up his numbers now.
What was the statistic last year? They gave the total touchdowns of players who missed time last year. It was Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, and I forgot the other player, and they were like a combined 30-something touchdowns. That was missing from the offense last year.
Yeah. Well,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
There's very few quarterbacks in the NFL that you could say can carry a team, correct?
Yeah.
Lamar, Josh Allen,
Patrick Mahomes, Joe
Mahomes. That's it.
Yeah, Joe
So
Burrow.
There's 28 other quarterbacks in the NFL that essentially, if you want to compare them, they're essentially Brock Purdy. It's always, dude, if Purdy was a first round pick, I think he gets more love.
Someone commented that yesterday when we were talking about this. I think MSQ, he's in the chat. I think he said, do you think if Brock Purdy was a first round pick, 6'4", 240 or whatever, if he was like the stature of what most quarterbacks look like?
It's the body size. It's the attributes. They're always going to crap on him no matter what. We know we have a whole section of 49ers creators that just don't like Brock. They wanted they wanted Trey Lance to succeed. So it's never going to be good enough unless he wins a Super Bowl. And even if he does win a Super Bowl, they'll probably take shots at him and say that he wouldn't have done it without A, B, C, D, and E, which is like every quarterback in the National Football League other than a couple.
They move the goalposts on him all the time. And I'm not going to sit here and say, because I'm on record saying, Brock had a terrible year last year. Well, it wasn't
Brock
terrible.
Was bad last year at times. Yeah.
Right? And I know he has things to improve on, but given the market, given the amount of money these quarterbacks are getting paid, he's getting paid fairly. And if you actually look at the contract, it's not really 53 because, there's extra years in it. There's bonuses, the way the way it plays out, it's a pretty friendly deal. And then in a year or two, when JD5 gets paid, when Mahomes gets his next contract extension, Brock is going to go from 7th on the top paid to 11th. He's going to drop down substantially in a year or two because all these other quarterbacks are going to get paid as they should. And it's just the way the market goes. Right now, he's 7th highest paid and ruffles people's feathers because I think they're jealous. I think TJ, who's your daddy, is jealous that Brock's getting this generational money because he never got paid that much. He's jealous that this guy is, a face of a team. He's the franchise of the 49ers. And some people don't like Brock, but the Niners like him. The team likes him. They have stability at the quarterback position. This is something they've been searching for a very long time. How many times have we come on this chat and say, there's going to be Jimmy, there's going to be Trey Lance, there's going to be who? We've went through quarterback controversy for year after year. It's nice not to. Even Kittle alluded to it this offseason. He said, look, I had 9 quarterbacks before we had Brock Purdy. So it's kind of nice to have the same quarterback throwing me the ball again. So, the team needs stability. And if you look at the quarterbacks that are getting paid close to Brock, I think it's fair. You got Jared Goff, you got Tua, you got Justin Herbert, Josh Allen. All these quarterbacks are getting paid pretty similar. He's won a lot. Brock's won more playoff games than pretty much all those guys.
Here's a guy that we don't never talk about. If you want to say somebody's undeserving who's never won a Super Bowl, what has Kirk Cousins ever done in the National Football League except put up stupid stats?
Yeah.
He hasn't done anything. He hasn't accomplished anything in the National Football League. But because he was, a second rounder, a third rounder, he deserves the money. Or because
he looks like a prototype. He has the arm, and he looks like a great quarterback. I mean, yeah, he's put up some good stats here and there, but what's his playoff record? Has he won a Super Bowl? He's never been that top tier quarterback.
The 49ers don't get to the Super Bowl in 2023 if Brock Purdy doesn't have the game of his life in the second half. People forget that. Like, Brock played amazing in that game. Did he play like trash last year? Yeah, but a lot of the team did. The defense was bottom of the league, last in the league, horrible on defense. They were bad. Special teams was bad. This whole, why is it always Brock that gets all the heat for everything? I don't understand this logic. I tell you, it's the misery merchant, like grifter type people that just, the negative content, man. It's like people, because it does what it's doing right now. It's stirring me up. It's getting me mad. Like, that's what people go for, and people are attracted to that sort of thing. So
I love it. And like I said, the Niners are always at the hot of, like, they're at the top, like, trending topic. They're always like the big ticket to people want to talk about the 49ers. And again, they always have the juiciest stories. They have like a lot of star players. Kittle, Warner, Bosa, they have big personalities. Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams, Brock Purdy. People love them. So yeah, they're going to talk about them because it's a trending topic when the sports, when we're talking about stuff, when the sports world, when the media is talking, they're not going to talk about some obscure nonsense story. They want to talk about the top of the, chart kind of stories. And the Niners are usually near that list. They're usually top 1 to 5 on the stories for almost any given day. Like, that's why being a Niner content creator, you pretty much can post something every day. Like, I post something every day. Other teams, other people I know that do this, they're like, you post all the time, Roger. Yeah, Niners always have shit to talk about, dude. So it's like, it's nice, but that's the Niners, man. And they're always in the news, and the media is always going to talk about one. They're going to spin it their way. They're going to spin their views, and the media knows you talk bad about a player or a team, it's going to get a reaction from the fan base. So they know how it works. It's entertainment. So, it is what it is. But again, 49ers, they know that these media people and all these, it's fuel for their fire, and they use it to kind of push an agenda of say, hey, look, we got our team doubting us, or we got TJ Houshmandzadeh doubting us, or Puka's doubting me, So it's going to be a receipt, and ultimately it's going to motivate them. So
Puka talking that's a wild one to me. Yeah, like, what? Wild. You don't think he deserves it? What? Okay.
It's weird. Like, okay, TJ is one thing because he's on a network now. He's not a player anymore. So I guess he could talk about another man's pocketbook. But Puka's a current player. I mean, I know he's a rival.
He's a really good player, though, so I can't get too mad about it. But yeah.
But why are you talking about another man's paycheck? It's not like me going, oh, man, Aaron, he's only making just much money. I can't believe he's only making, like, that's crazy to sit there and, like, throw another man's, like, financial business out in there. If someone, it was weird that they asked them in the first place. But, yeah, I would say, hey, whatever the market is, pay him, But this man went out of his way to say, he shouldn't get paid 50. It's going to cripple the team. He's going
to me, keep it on the court. Keep your takes. My takes, I have takes against people that I don't like that do media. I keep it on the field and never talk about their personals. I keep it directly about I don't like your takes. Your takes suck. Yeah. I think you're a grifter, that's just me, but that's how I work. I wanted to ask about this guy because I have no idea about him until I saw the news. It said the 49ers have officially named former Jaguars assistant GM Ethan Waugh the title of personnel executive.
Yes, sir.
Was he here before?
Yeah, I pulled it up.
Okay.
Yeah, so Ethan Waugh, personnel executive. So he's part of the front office. So he's actually on his 19th season with the 49ers, believe it or not. This is the first time he's been with the 49ers since 2021. Where he used to be the vice president of player personnel. So prior to rejoining the 49ers today, He served as the Jaguars assistant general manager for 3 seasons, 2022 to 2024. So he basically was assisting Trent Baalke, right? He helped oversee all aspects of player personnel department, team construction through contract negotiations, daily roster moves, free agency, the draft process, and coaching hires. So he was a pretty big part of that front office. So the 49ers are now bringing him back in like a personnel role. I'm sure it's going to be very similar to what he did in Jacksonville. I'm guessing it's almost the same as an assistant general manager because Adam Peters left last year to be the general manager of the Washington. So they kind of need another like assistant. So it's probably a guy that's going to help John Lynch in doing basically all those tasks, right? Player personnel department, contract. He's probably going to help Parag. He's going to help the whole front office. They need another guy. They need an assistant. They need a guy to go, hey, here's some water, John. What else do you need? You want me to go do a Starbucks run for you, Kyle? And then
John,
come back.
Do you need your feet groomed? Do you want me to run a bath for you? Like, what are you?
Yeah. And then he's going to come back and we got some contracts to do. Let me call Brock Purdy. Yo, Brock, I need you to pick up this check. You got your workout bonus. Hey, Bosa, are you going to work out so you get your bonus? He's the front office player personnel guy extraordinaire. He's been with the 49ers now entering his 19th season. He's been with them for a long time.
Speaking of Bosa, boy, did we dodge a bullet with Joey. We all wanted him. We all wanted him, including myself.
Yeah.
I didn't want him like crazily. Like, I know his worth. I know he's been injured a lot. Oops. Oh, well, he's hurt.
He gone.
I don't know how you get hurt in the offs. Dude, I've never understood how guys get hurt at OTAs. You're not doing anything. What? How? What?
You're stretching. Is there
a curb in the middle of the field that he just stepped off of? Like, geez, bro. What the hell?
Stretching. He got hurt for. Here it is. I got the new Bills pass rusher went down with a calf injury last week and is expected to be out until training camp. Buffalo head coach Sean McDermott told reporters on Tuesday. Wow, calf injury. That boy is cooked.
Calf injuries are bad.
That's bad. It could be
those can linger all season.
That's what Dre Greenlaw had, and it turned into an Achilles. Listen to what he said. This is what he said. This is what Sean McDermott said. He said he'll be out for more than likely the foreseeable springtime, and at least, and then we'll get into training camp. He should be able to go by training camp. Understand it just happened late last week, so we're still kind of exploratory phase on what that's going to mean. That means he's fucking cooked. Dude, if we would have got this guy, can you imagine? The Niner fans would have been disgusted.
See, that's when the people that grift, that's when that's when I'm okay with what they're doing because we had it coming. If we would have pushed for this guy and then he would have gotten hurt, and then people would have been like, "Oh, see, everybody wanted him." So we dodged a bullet with that. Some topics I wanted to. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. So that's why because there's been a lot of like engagement type posts, like clickbait type posts. Bleacher Report's the best. 49ers are looking into getting Julian Black, or they should try and get Jadeveon Clowney. Like those types of moves, those types of picks. Please don't go after Jadeveon Clowney. The guy you think this is bad. If we sign him, same thing's gonna happen.
He's a mercenary. He's all for himself, bro.
Yeah, don't get.
He don't care about your team. He just wants to get paid. His name has brought him great wealth, and he's accomplished really nothing in the league.
I agree.
So, some stuff that's happened because we haven't talked in a long time. I wanted to get your opinion on just some off-season stuff. I wanted to get your take on the draft. What was your opinion of the draft? I know it's late. It's almost June. Everyone's like, "What the hell is Aaron talking about the draft for?" I haven't talked to Raj in 5-6 months. So, overall thought in the draft did you feel it was a success? Are you a little iffy on some stuff? Some people were good for the most part. There was a couple reaches that a lot of people talked about, like Nick Martin and Sigil, the safety. Those are 2 picks that a couple people were like, "Wow, they could have got this guy and that guy." If they just stayed in if they wouldn't have reached. What was your overall take on the NFL draft?
Yeah, I don't say anybody. They might have reached. Every team reaches. There's always players that people want and they're upset. That's why I don't get into the whole like mock drafts anymore, all that stuff, because you get a draft crush. Oh, gotta get this guy.
You fall in love with people.
Yeah, then you don't get them, and then you're pissed. And then if they do good, you're like, see, another should have got. Oh. So I don't even care about that anymore. There's certain players I was like, oh, it would have been cool if they got them, right? But they don't. I'm not gonna like be tied to him and be like, oh my God. But overall, I think they did a good job. The defense was absolutely gutter trash last year. We talked about it a lot. They fixed those issues. Like this offseason, the theme was fix the problems that were causing us to lose games. Like I know a lot of people say, oh, they didn't fix the O-line. They addressed it, but they still have guys they're paying, and they're not going to get rid of Colton McKivitz unless you can really upgrade over him. And I'm not going to sit here and say he's great, but there wasn't anybody better on the market than Colton McKivitz. Now I'm not saying he's great, but he's I'd say at least above average, a little bit above average, but they could upgrade there, but they needed to fix their defense. So the first 4 or 5 picks was defense. There wasn't a lineman that they liked that was going to be better than Colton in that spot. And they needed a lot of defensive help. You got rid of Hargrave, you got rid of Greenlaw, you got rid of Hufanga, you got rid of a lot of players, and you needed all those players. So they got CJ West, Michael Williams, Nick Martin, Upton Stout. They went and grabbed pretty much a starter at pretty much every spot on the line. If they can develop and if they hit on these players like they hit last year, this is good. But the only problem I have coming into the season now is, yes, they're going to be relying on a lot of young players. They're going to go through ups and downs. They're going to go through growing pains. It's going to be a very young team. And there might be games where we lose that we think they're going to win because they might have made a mistake here. They're going to go through rookie mistakes. So that is my only concern. But I was very excited overall on what they drafted because, this defense, how many times do we sit here and talk after a game like, oh, my God, they could have stopped the run. Oh, my God, they couldn't get off the quarterback. I'm very, very, very happy with the defensive players they picked. I love Nick Martin. CJ West looks like he's going to be a dog. Everybody pretty much looks like they can be good, but we got to see them play on the field. I feel like the running back they got, I'm intrigued by him. And overall, I think they did a good job. But again, relying on a lot of young players, it's a gamble, but everything in the NFL is a gamble. So if these guys pan out, we're going to be singing their praises. If they don't, we're going to be pissed off again next offseason. So, at the end of the day, they addressed the issues at hand, right? You got a new defensive coordinator. You got a new special teams coordinator. You fixed the special teams like we talked about. You added a revamped defensive line, right? You paid all your players. There's no drama. So really, they've done everything they possibly could, except the only one thing that they haven't really did, we talked about, was cut Jake Moody, but there's that still that possibility. And then they didn't revamp the O-line like everybody wanted to, but they did get a potential starter, Connor Colby. I'm pretty intrigued by him. And they added like 2 or 3 tackles through free agency. Now, again, Colton's going to start. Trent Williams is going to start. They got a swing tackle, and I think that right there was huge because you lost Jalen Moore last year. So overall, again, I say B overall this offseason. I think they did pretty well.
Do I still want him on the 49ers? I thought it would have been cool to have him, but I knew what he was. I wasn't having him come here thinking he's going to be a 15 sack, a year guy. My biggest fear, and I've kind of been up and down with this, and I've kind of been hot and cold with this, is I get why the 49ers did what they did in gutting the roster. Drake Greenlaw, he even got hurt. He signed with Denver. He's already hurt, right? Hufanga had really one great year, and other than that, he was inconsistently in and out of the lineup. My fear, especially with them letting go of Leonard Floyd, and I forget the other defensive lineman, they've set themselves up to really, really, really be dependent on all these rookies.
Yeah.
There's no real veteran presence on the defensive line other than Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
And so there was that talk, like a lot of people are like, oh, the Niners didn't sign anybody in free agency. They were dying, dollar store shopping. And, to a certain extent, maybe people were right. But a lot of the names, like you said, free agency were mostly special teams. I wouldn't be against signing a free agent on the defensive line come training camp-ish time. If they decide to bring in somebody at least just for depth. That they don't have a ton of depth on the D-line. They don't really have a ton of depth anywhere on defense. That's what the scary part is. And then you got Malik Mustafa. He's going to be out for a while. So I'm hoping they can stay healthy and they have this young nucleus come into next season and maybe rekindle some sort of 2019 thing that happened where there was a lot of unknowns on that defense. But we did bring in, of course, Dee Ford. The Niners have a lot of questions. We don't know what Nick, oh my God, his name just escaped me. Nick Martin's going to be.
Yeah, I like him.
People,
I think if he's healthy, he could be Dre Greenlaw's replaced. Like, he really can. He's explosive. But you're right. We don't know what any of these rookies are. But I'll tell you this. I know they try to get younger, and they didn't want to spend too much money in free agency. They're trying to fix, the cap space, all that stuff. They've kind of done that now that they've extended the contracts to Kittle and Warner. Their cap space is back. But this is what I think the Niners are probably going to do. Like, okay, we got these young players. They know they're going to hit a rookie wall at some point. They know they're going to go through ups and downs. I feel like mid-season, I think also too, like you said, maybe during training camp, they always add a veteran, maybe a safety. They did it with Gibson a couple years back, and that paid out, right?
That was one of the best moves they made in a long time, Tyshawn Gibson. Yeah,
that was great. So the fact of the matter is, right now, safety is kind of a question mark. So if you go into camp and you're like, well, we need a veteran, they'll do it, right? Because they do have the rookie, right, that we talked about, Marquise Seigel. I don't know what we're going to get out of him. Jair Brown, I don't know what we're going to get out of him. Malu Mustafa, we don't know when he's come back. So if they really need a safety, they'll go and sign one. And then they did bring in, like, Richie Grant. They brought in some guys, but are they going to be able to, like, be starter quality? I don't know. They'll go get a guy. But mid-season, this is what I think is going to happen. The Niners are going to say, okay, we got this young defense. If they're not, productive that they need to be, if they're not stopping, I think they'll be able to stop the run pretty good. If they're not getting after the quarterback, or if they're kind of like 6 wins, 7 wins mid-season, and it's like they're kind of at that 500 level or like close to it, and they need something to get over the top, I think by then they'll be, all right, we got to make a move. Let's go in. Let's get a nasty pass rusher. I think that's where you're going to see the Niners go and like put it all in to get a guy to put them over the top. Maybe they can make that playoff push.
Brock Purdy says they're in the Super Bowl window still. Brock doesn't believe the window is shut. So
that's what your franchise quarterback should say. I'm glad he said that. But we know there's holes. We know there's issues. And if Brock were to say we're not a Super Bowl, people are going to shit that man. He's already getting enough, nonsense. So I'm glad he said what he said. But the other thing is, like I said, not a lot of people are saying maybe they get Trey Hendrickson or something. I think the Niners are going to see what this young team is about. They have an easy schedule. This is the year where you can try to go and see if a young team can coast you against easier games. But there's no such thing as an easy game in the NFL. Now, if they're kind of flatlining and you're like, oh my God, maybe midseason they're going to be like, all right, we got $46 million in cap space. Let's go make a money move and do it. So I feel like they're going to give this team some time to see, if this young team can take them far. Because look what the Rams did last year. They were a young team. Not a lot of people believed in them. They kind of stumbled out the gates, and then boom, they got together. Everything gelled, and they were a damn good team.
What do you think of a guy like Saleh, and that the 49ers maybe they believe so much in Robert Saleh that they're confident to go into the season with the roster where it sits, instead of, maybe we didn't make the big moves in free agency to address the defensive line. How much do you think they believe in his scheme can compensate for the lack of well-known players? Because if you look at the draft, a lot of the guys who drafted, Raj, are run stoppers. Mm-hmm. Like Cal Williams isn't your Mike Green of the draft who dropped, who is a legit, like, he has moves. He's got a plan at the plan of attack, or when the rubber meets the road on the defensive line. This is more of a defense that is going to, at least on paper, be better against the run. Do you think maybe they go more blitzing this year, the multiple fronts, because they can't go into it like they have in the past, which is rush 4, drop 8. They don't have that kind of defensive line to really, I think, go with that approach. I don't know. What's your feeling on it?
Well, yeah, I know. So he talked a couple weeks ago, right? He had his little press conference, and he says there's just little tweaks, little things we did in the Jets. He says there's going to be some combinations of some new things, and I think that could be it. And I think they're going to tweak his style of defense, and I think they're confident in his ability to scheme this defense, and they really bolstered up that run defense. If you could set the edge and stop the run and get a team on like 3rd and 8, instead of 3rd and 2, you're going to be able to rush the passer more. Even if you don't have the talent, if you put them in a position where it's like 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, they're going to be pressing a little bit more. So, yeah, I think if you can stop the run early, then just because you don't have a household name as a pass rusher, you can get to the pass rusher. You can get to the quarterback. So I feel like that is where their strategy is let's stop the run, because last year they were getting gashed, and it was like 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, easy conversion. So if they can get it to a 3rd and long situation, it's going to make their life a lot easier. So I feel like that's kind of where they're coming from. I think they 100% believe in Saleh. It's just like Kyle, right? He kind of schemes the offense up, and sometimes he makes players look better than they are because of his scheming. Like, I know people give Kyle a lot of crap, but he is good at scheming, right? And I think that's why they like Robert, because he's good at the defensive side of it, scheming. If you look at it, they got basically 2 head coaches on this team now. You got a defensive guy who was a head coach. You got an offensive guy who was a head coach. So it's like you have 2 head coaches now, and one guy can coach the defense. Kyle can focus on the defense, because I feel like Kyle had to do a lot more when he didn't have good defense coordinators, especially last year. Nick Sorensen was an absolute joke, and Kyle was frustrated over his head having to do everything, which I'm sure he can. That's what a head coach is supposed to do. But if you have a good coordinator, it makes your life easier. And Kyle put a lot on his plate. So I think that is going to help them. And I think that is why he was like, okay, let's get your guys. Just like we talked about special teams, Brant Boyer brought in his guys. Robert brings in his guys. This is his defense, the guys he wants to mold. And if they fail, it's on him. If they succeed, it's on him. And he knows if this defense looks good and it's better than last year, they can get a head coach job. Or maybe they promote him if Kyle leaves or whatever. Who knows what's going to happen? But at the end of the day, the Niners are putting their coaches in a position to sink or swim. And hopefully they swim, because we want them to succeed. And if this defense looks great, Robert Saleh is going to get all the praise, because he's the one that drafted those guys. He's the one that he got rid of Dre Green. He got rid of like they got rid of a lot of people that people love, but sometimes you got to part ways. Like Bill Walsh used to do it all the time. He got rid of players that were stars, and then replaced them
early rather than late, so you can get some value out of them. The thing with this offseason, I think, is with the signing of Brock Purdy, it's put a lot of pressure on Kyle and John. This regime really now is their doomsday clock has started as far as like expectation. They have their quarterback, everything is set in place. He's here for the foreseeable future. Do you feel that the Niners are dealing with a little bit of a doomsday clock here? If they don't start getting, if they don't get things done the next couple of years, maybe they have another 6-11 season, or a season where they play poorly, even when guys are healthy, that now things are going to start, heads are going to have to roll at some point.
I mean, if they have another 6-win season, there's going to be it's going to be nasty if they have another 6-win season. Now, if they don't, I think it's really record dependent. They can win 9 to 12 games and be in contention for the play. Like if they win 9, they don't make playoffs. But if that's still an improvement from last year. If you win 10 to 11 games, you make playoffs. I think everybody's going to be happy in terms of front office, because you made an improvement. You improved from a 6-win team. Fans aren't going to be happy because we want to win a Super Bowl every single year, which I get it. But if you have a repeat of 6 wins or less this season, you got to have some heads to roll. Now, I don't know if they will, because you got a young team. Now they have the excuse of, well, we got a young team. So
they do have that built in.
They do have that excuse, and I hope that's not they got a young team. It'll be better next year. So you got to win more than 6 games this year. Bottom line, if you can't win more than 6 games this year, there's got to be some changes.
Yeah, last year was a completely just tragedies galore. There was so many bad things going on last year. I just feel like the 49ers, I feel like there's a doomsday clock. If the next couple of years they're not in contention, or at least in the playoffs, most of the time, I think, you could see a John Lynch lose his job. You could see a coordinator or some front office people get, the boot. I don't want that to happen, but I think when you sign a quarterback to a long-term deal that costs a lot of money, that automatically puts a bullseye on your front office, your coach, and everybody involved. So I think there is a doomsday clock. Hopefully the clock gets reset every year, because we're doing really well and we don't have to worry about that. But I do think it's something you have to think about with, you got a new quarterback, or you got a quarterback who signed a huge deal. Now go win a Super Bowl, or go be a competitive team every year, get to the conference championship game. Like that's the expectation. Anything less than that, to me is a failure. So hopefully that's not the case.
Real quick, there's a question. There's a comment. Chris says, Raj, not true. There have been a few teams who didn't have 10 wins and still made the playoffs. Yeah, obviously, but those were also teams that played in like really bad divisions, and 9 wins was like the division winner, right? That 8-9 wins you the division. I don't think the Niners in the NFC West, although it's gonna be a dogfight, I don't think 9 wins gets you the NFC West. I feel like if you win 9 wins, you're in the NFC West this year, you're second or third place, and you don't make the playoffs. That's where I'm coming from. I think you have to at least, I think 10 wins is going to get you close to win the NFC West. It's going to be a very competitive division. They all know each other. It's going to be a dogfight. So if you get 10 to 11 wins, I think you can win the NFC West. But yeah, I think if you win 9 games in the NFC West, your chances to make playoffs are kind of slim because there's a lot of NFC, right? You're going to have the Lions, you're going to have the Packers, you're going to have the Rams. You're going to have a lot of teams in the NFC overall that have about 10 to 12 wins. And, 9 wins is going to be a very, very close, cutting it close to get into the playoffs. That's all I'm saying. But you're right.
Yeah, I do think, I think the Niners are a wild card team this coming year. I don't think they win the division personally. But you never know. Like, I just feel with the inexperience that they might have a little bit of some up and down play through the year. And maybe, the defense, maybe they have a little bit of a, regression with their youth. But then again, I could be totally wrong. And they coached the hell out of these guys and we're right back in the conference championship game. But the NFC's tough. And the Niners have a hard road ahead of them. They have an easy schedule this year. So that's another thing too. I mean, there's no excuse, when you have you literally have a last place schedule. I think it's the weakest one in the entire National Football League. So
it's the easiest schedule. But like I said, I kind of hate that also at the same time. I know it's good for us, but kind of hate it because here's the thing. Not every game is easy in the NFL. There's going to be some issues. There's going to be, who knows what's going to happen this year. You can't predict it, but no win is easy. I mean, yeah, if you look at it based on last year, like, oh, easy team. But these teams that we played are getting better. They've improved, right? They're going to want to.
Cardinals, Rams are always competitive. Eagles, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Carolina looks like a better team. It's not going to be a walk in the park. And then if we lose these easy games, then we're going to get trashed. Then we're going to become a meme. Niners can't even win this easy schedule. So I don't like to use that as an easy schedule. I think every game in the NFL is very difficult. Winning in the NFL is not easy. And I think that, don't take any opponent lightly because, yeah, we can sit here and make fun of Cleveland. Now, if the 49ers lose to Cleveland, it's going to be ugly. I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying take every game, with the same amount of energy. You take every, the last game and the last game. And, like I said, don't take teams for granted. You never know what's going to happen because I'm sure the teams that looking at the Niners on their schedule, this team won 6 wins last year. Fucking terrible. But as a Niner fan, we have all this talent on this team. And if they're healthy, they can probably do damage. So don't take these teams lightly because I'm sure they're looking at it like, oh, you're counting me out. You're counting me, Carolina out. They're going to come to play, man. So
yeah, especially when you got nothing to lose when you're a team that nobody expects anything. So
correct.
Raj, it has been awesome. It was a long time coming. Yeah. Don't usually do a ton of off-season stuff, but I had to ask you, and I'm glad you obliged. It was a blast. I would love to do this again in the future, but just wanted to say thanks for that. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. For any of you that popped onto my channel, thanks to Raj. I appreciate it. For the rest of you, thanks for coming, being in the chat, and being active. Everybody have a great rest of your night, wherever you are, and we'll see you on the other side. Peace.